This occurrence challenge is called missing numbers. We're going to receive two arrays, and one array is going to be an original array with integers, and the second array is going to be a permutation of that array, but it's going to have some missing numbers. So this is an example. Let's say this is our original array. It's called BRR, and this here is our incomplete array. So this incomplete array has integers, just like this one. The original array has 13 integers, and this second array has 10 integers. They look different, but this is actually a permutation of that array minus 3 elements. So these 3 elements here, we're going to assume that they are missing. Imagine that you picked that array, you shuffled it, and then somehow you missed some numbers. Then you would get that array. And our task in this occurrence challenge is to find the missing numbers. So there are a few things that we need to note. First of all, the arrays can contain duplicates. So here, for instance, the number 204 appears here in the original array, and here a second time, and then here a third time. But in the incomplete array called ARR, it appears here a first time, and then here a second time. So the number 204 appears twice in our incomplete array and 3 times in our original array, meaning that 204 is a missing number. So the frequency is different. It appeared 3 times here and twice in that array. So we need to make sure that the frequency is the same. The second thing that we need to do is to print all the missing numbers in ascending order. When we are done finding our missing numbers, we need to print them from the smallest value to the largest value. We need to print each missing number only once. For instance, 204 appears 3 times in the original array and twice in the incomplete array, but we only need to print it once. In other words, we simply need to identify what is the missing number. And if there are many, then we need to print all of them only once. And this here is just for our information. The difference between the maximum and minimum number in the second list is less than or equal to 100. Now, to pass all the test cases, you can ignore this. You might use it in your solution, but I personally did not. In our function, we're going to receive 2 parameters, and these 2 parameters are going to correspond to the original array and the incomplete array. So how can we write an algorithm to find the missing numbers? We could do something like this. We could have a map. So the map is going to have keys and values. The keys are going to correspond to the elements inside our arrays, and these values here are going to be pairs. So these pairs are going to keep track of the frequency of that number in the original array and in the incomplete array. In C++, we have this under std. It's a pair, so you can associate 2 values together. Let's say here we have this std pair, and we can associate a string with a double. So the string would be tomatoes, and the double here, the double value, would be 2.3. So here, what we are associating are 2 integers together, and these are the frequencies. So let's look at 203. It appears here in the original array, so that's 1, and it also appears here, that's 2, and that's it. So we have 2 here for the frequency. In the incomplete array, it appears here, so that's 1, and it also appears here, that's 2. So we also update that value to 2. Now for 204 right here, in the original array, it appears here and then here, so that's 2, and it also appears here at the end. So we have the number 3 here. In the incomplete array, 204 appears here and also here, so that's 2, and we note down 2 here. So the frequency here is not the same for the number 204. So we can note this as a missing number. When I add this cross here, meaning that there is something wrong because the frequencies are not the same. So this is a missing number, and the missing number here is the element 204. And that element, which is an integer in both our lists, acts as the key inside our map. So the keys are the elements and the values are the pairs for the frequencies. Now 205, if we look at this example here, appears here in our original array. So that's 1, then that's 2, and that's 3 here. So we have 3, and in our original array, it appears here, that's 1, and here, that's 2. So these are the frequencies, and again, there's something wrong. It's missing once. So you can go ahead and count for 206, and you will also find something wrong. So our solution needs to return a vector, and that vector is supposed to return 204, 205, and 206. Now, notice here that these keys are already in ascending order. This is the smallest value, this is the second smallest value, and 206 is the largest value among these three here. If we look here at their sample inputs, they have these same values. So they have this incomplete array with 10 integers, and this original array with 13 integers. They are the same as what I have in my notepads. And the sample outputs, the correct answer is 204, 205, and 206. So it's the same thing that I just explained, and that's why I have these X marks right here. So in codes, when you implement this solution, I don't recommend that you use an unordered map in C++. It's better to use a map because a map is going to have its keys in ascending order. So what we do in that function is we create the vector that we intend to return, and I'm calling that missing. It's going to be a vector of integers because it needs to return the missing numbers inside our incomplete array. You can simply use a normal map just like that in C++, and it's a map of integers for the keys and of pairs of integers for the values. For example, this is a key, 203 is an integer, and this value here is a pair. So this is a value for that key here, and that pair is a pair of two integers. Now I'm having these values here of type size t. They are I and j, and I'm going to use that to iterate through my original array and also my incomplete array. Inside this while loop, this is where I perform the iterations. So I want to loop until the end of my original array. The reason why I have this as the only condition, if I is less than brr.size, is because we can be sure that this array will always be longer or equal to our incomplete array. Because obviously, if they are permutations of each other, but this incomplete array has some missing values, it will either be of the same length as the original array if there are no missing values, or of lower length than the original array if it has some missing values. So we can have this as the single condition here. And what we're doing here is we have frequency. So frequency here is the name of our map, and our map is something like this here. So if that key does not exist yet, it's going to be created. So I'm working directly on the value now, and I want to access the first elements of my value. Now, because our values are pairs, when I say dot first, it means this value here. Likewise, when I access the value for this key here, it will be this. And when I say dot first, it will be 3. When I access the value for this key here, it will be this. And when I say dot first, it's going to be this one here. So you get the idea. So I want to increase the frequency of every element that I find inside my original array. Whenever I find it, as I iterate through that original array, I want to increase the counts, meaning I found it once, then twice, then 3 times, and so on. If j has a valid index, so j is used to iterate through my incomplete array here. If j has a valid index, then I also want to increase the count of whatever element I'm finding whilst I'm advancing through it. So when I say this here, and I have dot second, just like this, it's as if I said, let's say index 0. So at the first iteration I'm here, and I'm saying 203 here would be equal to 1 at first. This is dot seconds. Then when I find it here, it becomes 2. So this becomes 2, and that is why we have 2 here. So we keep updating the frequency for the second integer inside our pair here. And then once we are done updating the count of that element, we increase j because we want to advance through our incomplete array. And we also increase I regardless. So once we are done, we're going to have a map looking like this here. So let me remove these X symbols. But our map is going to look something like this. And so now I can simply iterate through that map. So this is just like what you've seen me use previously on this channel. I was using iterators to access every item inside my map. So when I say count.second, it means I'm dealing with the values like this one, or this one, or this one. And then I have count.second.first. So this means, for instance, 2 here, or 3, or 3, or this one as well. And I'm comparing if the first integer in my pair is not equal to the second integer inside my pair, then I know that there is a missing element. For instance, when we reach here, I'm going to check, is this equal to this? Obviously not, because 3 is not equal to 2, meaning that that key here is a missing element inside of my incomplete array. So that's what I'm saying here. If this evaluates to true, meaning that they are not equal, then I want to push back the key of that item. So count.first is going to correspond to the keys inside my map as I iterate through my map. So it could be 203, 204, and so on. For this specific example, it's going to be 204 because these values are not the same. Then 205 because these are not the same. And 206 because, again, these are not the same. So I'm adding the key inside of my missing vector. And again, missing is the name of my vector here. So once I'm done, I can simply return my vector. So that's pretty much it. Let's run this code now. And I think we should pass all the test cases if I did not make any mistake. And we just did sample test case 0 and sample test case 1. So now let's submit this code here. And we've also passed all the test cases. So that was my solution for missing numbers on HackerRank. If you liked my solution, please subscribe to my channel, turn on your notifications, and I'll catch you next time.